Oh yeah. Gotta get that morning coffee. Welcome to the first Out Your Shell, Trapped in Your Shell podcast. This is an idea where I get to be human and hopefully look at a bigger picture of everything that's happening in the world, from the wealth to the poverty, from the creativity and good deeds, all the way to the materialistic, vain ego of the world. Why are we at this point in our human race that we still have to suffer in one form or another, whether that be mental health, whether that be lack of resources, living below the poverty line, whether that's you and I trying to work 5 days a week, many hours to survive. That's what this podcast is meant to be about. So welcome, this is episode 1 of Trapped in Your Shell. At the start of every podcast, something that I'm going to do on the first of every month, starting after this one, will be a feel-good story. Now, if we look at everything, the media, even our entertainment now, is around drama, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Everything seems to be a negative effect. Believe it or not, this has an effect on your and my mental health. If you constantly intake negativity, if you constantly intake something that isn't good for you, whether that's like your diet, whether that is your mental health, whether that is your social circles, your habits will slowly deteriorate you as a person, disconnecting you from each other, yourself, reality in some cases. So, here on Trapped in Your Shell, the podcast, episode 1, we're going to start with a nice story based around COVID-19 happening in Bangladesh. My children are crying for food. The ripple effect of COVID-19 in the poorest. For Sakina Begum, a young mum in rural Bangladesh, it is not the threat of a deadly virus that keeps her up at night, it's the cries of her children and the hunger pains in her own stomach. Don't worry, this is a good ending story, but also a realistic one. The government lockdown in Bangladesh means her family is crowded inside their tiny shack that's part of a slum for landless. Poor beggars, it also means she's forbidden to leave the house and work. Sukina's husband is crippled, unable to work, and her 2 daughters aged 11 and 6 are hungry. Before the pandemic, she was earning about £2.35 a day collecting fish, which was enough to feed her family and even send her eldest daughter to the school. But now there's no way to work and their food supply had run out. If I do not work a day, our food and other things are uncertain. It has been more than 25 days. I have no work and I don't have any savings, said Sukina. I can't go to work anywhere. I am living a helpless life in this situation. My children are crying for food. But a ray of hope arrived at her door when the World Concern staff delivered emergency food and hygiene supplies. World Concern teams delivered emergency food packages to 480 families in Sakina's neighbourhood. Each family receiving 16 pounds of rice, 7 pounds of potatoes, 2 pounds of onions, plus lentils, oils and salt. This humanitarian aid workers for World Concern doing something that I believe that so many of us have lost touch with is compassion. As a whole, as a Western world, our compassion is almost gone. Why is it that you and I think that there are more negative people in this world than good? Why is it hard to find truly good people? Not those with an ego that like to brag about doing good. Not those with a vain look that live their daily life with the ego, with the materialistic aspects, with discomfort, yet they'll do a little bit so that you can say that they do good. Lastly, Sakina said, it feels really good at the moment because I had nothing to eat. He said, now we can have 3 full meals a day for a week and my children will be very happy. So I decided, out of all the good, feel vibe stories that are out there, this one was an important one. This one almost represents what this podcast is going to be about. On top of that, Isa got me this mug. With a great ginger beard comes great responsibility. So, you Superman. And this podcast, I hope to grow this podcast in which I'm not a professional. I hope to go to a point that any income from this podcast goes towards community projects. If you don't know, hello, my name is Ginge, formerly Andy, but I don't enjoy the formalities. I'm currently in Poland, near the Ukrainian border, about 2 hours away, in which I've been teaching English. We're going to be here for a while until Christmas to celebrate, and then moving to Cambodia, one of the poorest parts of Southeast Asia. In doing so, I, being an overly ambitious person, have an image in my mind where we set up a big blank room. We fill it with creative projects that we will be doing here on YouTube to fill this room, for allowing kids to come into the room and be kids again. As well as having some basic education lessons, some basic life skills, using other charities, other community projects in the area to grow these kids, these adults, these mums, these dads, these grandparents, being able to do as much as we can. And why would I want to do this? Because I recognize the disconnection from the wealth of the world to the poverty. This divide is the biggest damaging thing that I feel is not talked about enough. So welcome to Trapped in Your Shell, episode 1. Let's go. So I'm going to review some of the things, the biggest stories of this month. Each month I do the podcast will be the stories of that month. The other day, a massive revolution in how humans live was announced and has started building. So let's have a look. Saudi Arabia, a very wealthy Arabic country, somewhere that a childhood friend of mine, Saba, came from. Amazing guy, and I believe he's doing extremely well now. Saudi Arabia has decided to take all of its civilization and turn it into a line. So this line, they expect to be running on 100% renewable energy. They expect no cars in this line. From one point to the other should only take you 20 minutes to travel across the line. The videos of this place look amazing. If you ever look at concept art of some of the towns, some sci-fi films where you're all living amongst this block, where they say that you'll be able to reach any facility, medical, natural, all these things within a 5-minute walk. Let's watch the advert, the advertisement, the empowering, inspiring video of the line and see what we think.
Imagine a traditional city and consolidating its footprint, designing to protect and enhance nature.
How many of them buildings are going to get destroyed? You're just going to pick up all these buildings, push it into a line?
The line's communities are organized in 3 dimensions within 5-minute walk neighborhoods. Travel end to end in 20 minutes. Designed by world-leading architects, the line is...
For any of you gaming nerds, I was and am a big fan of Mass Effect. The Citadel, this big line. Some of you may recognize it, some of you may know what I'm on about. Others will think I'm a bit of a nerd. But look at it like that futuristic, everything's clean, everything looks good with little patches of greenery around it. Would be nice.
500 meters tall, 200 meters wide, 170 kilometers long, and housed within an elegant mirror glass facade. The line is designed as a series of unique communities, providing equitable views and immediate access to the surrounding nature.
Again, amazing. Now, one of the positive things, if this does work out the way that they present it, is yes, if every country did this, if the world could do this, if we could have one line around the world that somehow is sustainable, eco-friendly, that the rest of the world can regrow, can heal, so that Mother Nature is not being strangled and choked out. Yeah, amazing idea. Amazing.
At the heart of the globe's key trade routes, a place for commerce and communities to thrive.
When we say unique communities, now, if some of you guys watch any films or Snowpiercer with the train, where the poorest of the communities, the peasants, the dirty scum of the earth, to the rich, to the powerful, to the wealthy, live at the back of the line. You guys go to that day part of the line where we're going to put the waste all around that part of the line. We're going to put lesser humanitarian rights, those that even now in the world that we've had for tens of thousands of years. The poverty, the people that nobody seems to care about, bottom of the line, you go to the end. Those that are rich, let's gold plate the walls, let's make this look amazing. I want all the entertainment with me, maybe top of the line. Will this be another divide, or will it be integrated? If you're going to reset humanity, surely, if you're going to move everyone in Saudi Arabia, you would get rid of the poverty if you're going to reset it, hopefully.
The Line, the city that delivers new wonders for the world.
From Neo. For this next bit, specky up. Saudi Arabia, one of the richest, wealthiest countries in the world, recently taken over in power. Women's rights slowly increasing. I believe they had an AI who now is a citizen in Saudi Arabia. With the idea of building this multi-billion-dollar line, and hopefully for it to be this new age of humanity, for a bit of equality, a bit of equity to happen, to reset, get rid of poverty, basic suffering that should not happen here today in the world. Let's see the poverty rate in Saudi Arabia. Let's see the logistics that they don't want to put out to the world. Myself, always looking on the Borgen project, does amazing work looking and assessing poverty around the world. So the poverty rate, the amount of people that live below the poverty line in Saudi Arabia is 12.7, which to be honest is the 10th place in the Middle East. Unemployment rate, 12.9. And farming lands and agriculture is becoming scarce in Saudi Arabia, whether due to global warming, I don't know. But the network of Salman's father, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, apologies if I get that wrong, but hey, has a network of $17 billion. $17 billion. As someone that worked amongst homelessness in England, as someone that was sitting down doing paperwork for PIP payments, universal credit, all these things, some of the homeless who chose to be homeless, would stay in a hostel for free. They would get their food for free. After I went through these paperworks and they were receiving the max amount of benefits they could get, can you guess how much they actually took home? Wrong. £1,200 a month. £1,200. Myself, never earning over 30k a year, £1,200 was more cash in hand money than I took home after paying rent, food, the basics to survive. So sometimes poverty, homelessness can be a choice. It can be something you want if you're comfortable at that level. For these people in Saudi Arabia, I know they have a form of insurance for unemployment, but it's not enough to maintain a living above poverty line income. So on one point, we have Saudi Arabia creating the line, an amazing, innovative way of living that I truly hope, if they're going to do it, I truly hope they can take away poverty. I hope that it doesn't become a line where on the top of it is the wealth and at the bottom where you're enclosed in these massive walls is the poorest of the community. You'll see it. It'll become a documentary in 2030. When it's finished and people have moved in, imagine a documentary where you see the rich, the wealthy in their golden plated parts on the top of the line or at the end of the line, and the poorest of the community in the darkness. This whole line has a technical ventilation system, so if that was to fail or if they wanted to, you could turn that off. But looking on the bright side, taking away the anger, taking away what negativity could come from this, it could be, and I hope Saudi Arabia, the new leadership who are younger, who are more forward thinking, hopefully they can use this for the right reason. So, the other thing this podcast shall be about is what you and I as typical people, as people that are, yes, just trying to survive, but also we are disconnected on a grand scale of things. I've been someone who suffered with mental health problems. I've had my hardships in the past, and that's completely fine. In fact, that's why I made this t-shirt in Oxford when there was a high suicide rate during COVID with the homelessness, people like that. Myself seeing suicide and dealing with these situations, I made this t-shirt. Not bad, not bad. I'd rather wear this than some branded items, some Nike, some Adidas, some super brand, some Gucci, some Louis Vuitton. Nah, I'll stick with this, thank you. So, on a daily level, you and I waste money. We cannot deny this. Myself, always looking at the bigger picture whenever I'm trying to do something. I don't all the time, but I do try. So, the waste of money that we have, let's very quickly go through 25 of them and just see if you can relate to this. Number one is the obvious one, buying brand name products. Do you have to? Like in your subconscious, you feel like buying these products adds value. Why? And I've always questioned this. Shamefully, my little brother, sorry bro, has this mindset that because it has some stupid name, Aston Martin, Louis Vuitton, Gucci. I'm so disconnected, I care so little, I can't name anymore. But we're buying these products for a high price for no reason at all. Myself now moved from the UK to Poland. You don't see these brand names. I'm not seeing the brand names that you'll see in the UK. Does that mean that it's just feeding you? Reinforcing that yes, it's a better quality, it's a better brand, it makes you look more valued. Realistically, do you think the wealthiest people in the world give a crap about Gucci? No. Okay, paying someone else for simple car repairs. Scrap the car, just repairs. Right now, at the palm of our hands is YouTube, where we are, where you might be watching this. You could look up to fix absolutely anything, a lock on a door, all these things you are able to independently do this on your own. Just try. That's all you have to do is just try. Grocery shopping when you're hungry. Me and Isa have a little thing. If we go shopping hungry, we literally say, time to spend that big money. Time to spend that little extra on them little side pieces that we don't need. Buying snacks, coffees, things like this when you're out and about. I've been guilty of this now. I've been trying to cut down. I've been trying to focus on my fitness before we fly to Cambodia in January. But if I'm out, if I've had a very low carb breakfast, I've gone to the gym, I've done my work, and then I'm hungry on the way home, it's so easy to pop into a shop. I'm going to get a quick munch, I'm going to get a quick protein shake, or even a coffee whilst I'm out and about. You're not hungry, I'm not hungry in these moments. Paying for cable, the idea, BBC had a big thing in the UK, people don't want to pay a TV license because I don't watch your TV. I truly hope that the way that the media, the news that is on TV dies out from my generation. I'm under 30 for now, and yours. Reduce the amount of watch time on these news channels. They're being fed to you different mindsets. Only using credit cards, your bank in general, drafty living space, in-game purchases. You don't need your tires properly inflated, apparently that's one of them. Couponing irresponsibly. Paying full price for clothes, skimping on health and hygiene. Personal care, laundry junk, energy drinks, disposable razors, reusable coffee cups, and so on. So we can name a load of things that we could be doing on a daily as a typical person trying to survive that could save you money and also help in a bigger picture. Myself and Isa, we've always had an interest in the divide, in the wealth to the poorest, in poverty, in humanitarian aid. There's an amazing documentary on Netflix called E-Life, which involves these phones, technology, gadgets, things inside that don't run out. These would end up, if I was to throw them in the landfill, in the typical bin, these would end up in a poor, poverty-ridden country that's being held down. Our waste from all the Western countries being sent and scrapped because we cannot deal with it ourselves. There are children that end up collecting these in landfills, barefooted along hot, smoky waste of tech, to try and find these phones, take them, to get them dismantled, and to take the compounds and components out of these in order to resell for so little money. So on a daily, realistically, as a normal Western person, you and I have a lot more to do. We have new habits we need to be forming. I want this podcast, at the start anyway, to be a valve for me to project the stresses of the world. I'm not a professional. Myself, my whole career path has been working with people on a smaller scale, from children, elderly, end of life, homelessness, autism, drug and alcohol abuse, all these different lives. Myself being very fortunate to be able to look and work with different paths and walks of life, people's different situations, problems, stresses, and most importantly, happiness. So I'm not a professional in any form. In fact, I believe that us as a human race, we know a lot of things, but we also, in the end, know nothing. With this podcast, I wanted to grow to a point of getting sponsorship and income that could be used to benefit, that will be seen here on this channel once we are in the poorest part of Southeast Asia. I want this to be a platform that those of you that are down to earth thinking, that are able to realize that the world is slowly, very slowly disconnecting. As a Western world, we have lost ourselves, we have lost our standards. What used to be leadership of great power, bravery, has now deteriorated. Shamefully, America, Joe Biden can't even stand upright on his bike. Boris Johnson now completely disrespecting the public, having parties during times of lockdown, COVID, people's stress levels going up, suicide rising, homelessness increasing, your mum, dad, nan, granddad potentially passing away at this time. These are the leaders that we have voted for. These are the options of leadership that are given to us, feeding us little promises, little good feels, in order to choose one of 2, 3, 4 parties. Personally, I believe that we need a reset. Not Klaus Schwab's Great Reset, no. A reset of a whole structure of humanity. I was having a conversation with someone the other day about humanity as a whole. Whether that be global warming, whether that be the wealth that divide. Did you know the top 1% of the wealthiest people on this planet own overall 40% of the wealth? So in theory, that 1%, if humbled, if they gained a heart, a soul, a compassionate mindset, would have stopped poverty, would have stopped world hunger, would have stopped lack of clean water across the globe. But guess what? If we was to stop poverty, if we was going to put everyone on an equal level, or at least above the poverty line, who's going to be doing that dirty, disgusting, dangerous, soulless job that most will not do? And to be honest, if any of you guys are American watching, 1/3 of the global wealth is owned privately in the US. So the top earners, the most wealthiest people in the US, own 1/3 of the world's wealth. Myself and Isa, with so little time before we fly to the kingdom, to Cambodia, this amazing, and I know about all the corruption, I know all these things, but I look at the poorest communities and the simplistic living out there. Looking at the Buddhism out there, to be able to go and make peace. To find communities that are not evolving around vanity, materialistic items, ego. In fact, Southeast Asia, them cheap markets where you're walking around and you're looking at Nike trainers, you're looking at Champion jumpers, and they're all rip-off, they're all counterfeit. I would rather buy a Champion jumper that's counterfeit, that's hand-stitched by an old Asian lady, than one that's been factory made that's selling for £300. Instead, I'll buy that one for 20 quid, still ripping me off, and I'll give the rest of the money to a charity that aids in people. And in these countries, looking at amazing communities, these brilliant people. One of them that I was talking to the other day very quickly, Wendy, who simply responded with the same mindset. When I said about being here in Poland, trying, and you have to do something good. You have to. do something good, in which she responded that not many people get that same mindset, and shamefully that's true. I'm pretty sure you're distracted by other things. It could be gaming, it could be fashion, it could be trends, it could be music, it could be social media, it could be celebrities, it could be politics. Do you ever stop and think, why? Just why? Why do I care? Why do I care about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard? I understand about domestic abuse, relationship abuse. I've had a form of it in the past. But God, I'm not going to be looking at a trial and making this my entertainment. The sadness of his abuse in the past, what could have ruined his career, is now entertainment for you. At the same time, just over the border here, you have a war. You have a country that has been forcibly raped. You have children that are walking, crossing a border, potentially without their mum and dad. You have one man in a chair who is dictating, who is lying to his people, who is sending soldiers to a country that, thank God, has the willpower and the drive to fight and succeed. But nah, a little court hearing in America, that's more entertainment. Take a breather. Take a breather. It's strange for me. It's strange because I never dove into the mindset of this hollow entertainment. Ever since growing up, talking to my dad about an ActionAid advert of kids in Africa not being able to have clean water. Since then, my interest has only grown. On this planet right now are 2.2 billion children. 2.2. 1 billion of them live in poverty. This is what we need to care. If I was to take one of these children who live a life of wealth, whether you were born into it or whether you develop this wealth, I don't even say you've earned wealth anymore. I don't think that Jeff Bezos may have came from nothing and earned this money. It gets to a point of wealth where it's no longer earned. If I was to take one of these rich people, the wealthiest of the world, and leave them in one of the poorest person's situations, you go and do their job, their diet, their living, their daily life for 1 year. Go and do it. If you want to live a materialistic, ego, sad, hollow life where you have to buy the next thing that comes out, I would make you live in the poorest, next to the poorest man on the damn planet, and be humbled. Be humbled that hopefully you step away, not just to feel good and you help him out of poverty, but to put that wealth and bring these people up. One of the reasons we chose Cambodia is not because there's people that need help. Just because someone looks poor, I believe, doesn't mean they are always poor. The communities, the culture, the simplistic happiness that is found amongst poorer communities, to me, is better than your son and daughter getting the newest game that comes out, the newest phone that you need to buy because it has a better camera. There's a new trainers that are coming out, Jordanaires, I don't even know because I couldn't give a crap. But the simplistic happiness that some people have to live through because they don't have a choice. These people don't have a choice to go and live a luxurious life. They're stuck on this level that could be bordering the poverty line. They don't miss a day of farming or work because they will go hungry. Around child poverty and be able to go there, look at these amazing charities, Heartprint being one of my favourites right now. Child poverty, 640 million are without adequate shelter, 400 million with no access to safe water, 270 million have no access to health services. When your child gets sick, and it could be something very basic, non-harmful, non-lethal, I bet you run to the doctors, I bet you quickly buy some medication. Some children don't have that whilst living in a more vulnerable situation. 121 million without education worldwide. 10 million died in 2003 before they reached 5 years old. 1.4 million die each year because of lack of access to safe drinking water and adequate sanitation. 2.2 because they're not immunised. 15 orphaned. due to HIV and AIDS. 28% are estimated to be underweight or stunted, mostly in South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa. 72 million of primary school age is not in school. 57% are not girls. This brings me to the next point. Throughout the last 5 years, it feels like due to social media, due to exaggerated mindsets, that a lot of people are now creating problems from things they don't need to. I believe right now the biggest one is about pronouns. If you look on TikTok, social media, news, even now in America and the UK, they are creating or bending rules to fit this mindset of what pronouns, what gender, what identification we put on ourselves. Do you really think that kids that don't even get a primary school education, for those of you teachers out there, the demand on putting this open mindset, to put forward this mindset of, hey, what do you identify as? What are you? What do you want to be? You think these kids even have that choice when they don't even go to school? These kids are just waiting for their next meal from their parents. So thank you for listening, watching the very first episode of Trapped in Your Shell. You will see this change. Hopefully we can get a better room when we're in Cambodia. Make this a bit more official. Otherwise, the first of every month, make sure you're here, you're liking, you're subscribing, support the growth of this channel. Remember, if you need to, talk to someone. At the end of every podcast, we're going to promote good mental health. Go outside, do a bit of exercise, talk to someone, be creative. All these things help create a community, become human, come out your shell. And comment below, what do you think of Pangi? He's going to be touring Southeast Asia with us. Use him in the community centre that hopefully we can start up as a community. I like him. I think he's cool. Otherwise, much love. I'm off now to go and teach. Amazing student of mine. Take care. Come out your shell. Thank you.